I invested my last $500 into this business idea, and it either had to work or practically I was done. I'm not talking about just creating another side hustle. I'm talking about having to put food on the table for me and my family, and that's a whole lot of pressure. I took this $500 investment and made well over $200,000 that year. The crazy thing is, if I had access to the tools that we have today, I could have turned into something way faster. So it actually started with this right here, a heat press and a vinyl cutter. It didn't really start with this. I had failed, not necessarily failed, but other businesses prior, but it just wasn't bringing in like massive amounts of income where I could supplement a lot of things, be able to pay, rent, be able to put food on the table, being able to build something that could create savings and create, a lifestyle, create something that we could live on. So prior, I had eBay business, reselling business. Over the years, I ended up doing the crypto thing, tried trading stocks, had a Toro car rental business. None of it really stuck and worked for me. I even got into this thing before. I bought that same vinyl cutter and I even sold it because I didn't know you could use it to make t-shirts. I had it just to make decals. And you might be asking, how do you get this for $500? So one of the best places where you can get things like this at a really good steal is going to be Facebook Marketplace. There's so many people that give up on their businesses and they just put up the whole thing for sale, even if it's at a loss. Like, check it out. Here's a 16x20 Hotronix Fusion. That's an okay price. Here's one right here, a $300 15x15. We have, let's see, so 315 by 15. That's a Heat Press Nation one, so that's pretty solid. We have stalls. Sometimes you'll be able to find like a really high-end one for a good price as well. So it's just kind of crazy what you could actually find here. Like, here's the same brand that I started out with, US cutter, 12 by 10, $100. And here's a whole bunch of vinyl cutters. So let me see if I can find a pretty decent one. I've used this one in the past as well, $210. Here's one right here, $100. That would get the job done. It's actually pretty crazy. So if you really need to feel like you need to start with your own equipment, and this is a good way to be able to do so. But honestly, there is a piece of me that wish that I didn't start with equipment, but it allowed me to weigh the pros and cons a whole lot more. This is one of the reasons why I create videos. At the end of the day, I know it's gonna be preference. I know some of you guys want to start with equipment, and I used to feel the same way. Sometimes we do still dabble in using equipment just because, you can have better profit margins, but I'll tell you a little bit of a better way how you can leverage that a little bit later on, and exactly how you could start without it as well. All right, so right here I made this video in 2019, but I was pulling up my stats from 2015 and 2016. So 2015 right here, $19,600 in sales, which is pretty crazy. To me, that was crazy. This was like my first month where I saw like real breakthrough of being able to do something that I feel like I could just continue to do, right? So $9,000, my first month coming out, had me at a real all-time high. But see, going into the next few months, I didn't necessarily know exactly what I was doing for sure just yet. I was still just kind of figuring things out, right? But just being able to see a first little breakthrough gives you enough hope that you need to hold on to it, and you just need to continue to push through. So going into the next year, I just kind of went all in on this. I did $142,000 the next year. And to me, that was pretty crazy. And I did do some other sales outside of that. I had like a Shopify store. I had an Amazon store and whatnot as well. I have some old screenshots of how the Etsy dashboard used to look like, which it's crazy because it looks entirely different now. Man, those were some crazy times, because to me, I was just seeing numbers that I just, it gave me that breakthrough. It gave me that vision. It gave me everything that I aspired to be to come true. And I knew we could really go harder and harder. And for those of you guys who've watched like my previous few years, numbers got even crazier and crazier. But sometimes you got to really look back at where you started to really appreciate those moments. Because to me, making that first $1,000, $2,000 per month is way more valuable than, hitting the crazy $100,000, $200,000 a month and whatnot, right? Because you really don't know those numbers are possible until you hit these specific numbers and you truly believe what you can achieve, and whatever you perceive is what you can receive. I don't know where I was going with that, but this could happen for you. Look, this is where I feel like I went the wrong route a lot too. So let's see. Room ended up being in a whole entire mess, but this is where I really feel like I kind of screwed up. It's cool to learn, but as we were producing t-shirts, I thought producing it with screen printing was a faster way to do it. But lots of orders that come through selling on marketplaces are one of this, one of that, one of this. So it's a whole bunch of one-off items. With screen printing, you're printing the same thing, same design very quickly, right? So I wasted a whole lot of money here, wasted a whole lot of time learning screen printing, and I even got a direct-to-garment printer as well. So I even ended up buying a direct-to-garment printer, which was crazy. And I was just up working like 24/7, you guys. So this is one of the reasons why over time I started to make videos. I wanted to show you guys my mistakes, and I want you guys to really understand what you could do differently. So one of the biggest things that you could do differently is starting with print on demand or using print on demand. And I used to be very afraid of using print on demand because I wanted to touch every single product. I wanted to make sure it was getting shipped out to my customer on time. I didn't have that trust factor, and you trusting in another platform to help you handle your business can really hinder your growth. And it really puts that line in the middle of you becoming, either self-employed or learning how to be a business owner and actually operating in a sense where, someone else is doing the work for you. So that's what a lot of people don't understand, why the margins are different. But whenever you have more time, to focus on the right things, like focusing on the products, the designs that you should be selling so that you could actually get more sales to make up for that margin. Print on demand did this for me. Over time, we got into print on demand, found out about Printify, and I wouldn't have shown this so many times if I wasn't a true supporter, true lover of Printify. Like a lot of my students use Printify. It's a great way to start. They have great margins, and it just allows you to focus your time in the right places. Look, this is one of my new students. My store just hit $1,000 in sales in the last 30 days. I'm still shocked this is actually even happening. When you focus on too many different things, man, you don't really know how to focus on making more sales. And I know it sounds crazy, but the thing that you have to protect the most is your time. You're probably watching this because you probably already have a part-time job. Maybe you already have a full-time job. And maybe some of you guys are like me. I started as a stay-at-home dad. I had my firstborn. I had to stay with him all day. I had to figure out what I was going to do at night, right? And I was limited with the amount of hours that I had, and I was even more limited because I'm over here pressing, fulfilling t-shirts, and figuring out how to make more sales at the same time. We're all limited with the amount of time that we have. So if you have an additional 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours that you could dedicate to every single day, you should focus on the right products and letting someone else actually produce the products and ship it to your customer. If you really want to, you can always take it in-house at a later time. But here's the thing as well. Whenever it comes to producing products, most of the time you're only able to produce t-shirts. And then you're going to be looking at yourself like, oh, I should get an embroidery machine. Oh, I should get a tumbler making machine. Oh, I should get a laser engraver. Then all of a sudden you get thousands of pieces of equipment sitting around. Instead, you can even test the market using Printify. So check it out. I can click on their catalog, and as you can see, they have thousands of products. They have an embroidery cap here. They have a trucker hat here. They have cell phone cases, which do really, really well on platforms like Etsy. They have canvases, they have hooded sweatshirts. So let's go ahead and do some quick reverse research. So for example, we're looking at a phone case right here. You can get this for as low as $10.73. So check it out. Now I'm on Etsy and I type in phone case. Man, back in the day, these product research tools didn't exist, which sucked. Like we had to do everything manually. You're kind of looking at reviews. You're kind of looking at, just other ways of being able to tell how things are working. Like with how many people have this in cart. You're basing it off of the niches that are popular and whatnot. The beautiful thing about marketplaces is the fact that majority of it has always been the same. It's search-driven platforms. You're basing it off of what customers are looking for. Trends and holidays, events, occupations, hobbies, all those things die hard. Like nothing's changed. A lot of things stay the same. So once you really learn a skill, it's never going to go away for you. So here's a real simple thing. Once again, I just typed in phone case, and you do have to stay away from like trademarks and whatnot, right? Of course, you'll see people sell stuff like this, but it's kind of like one of the best examples I've seen was someone kind of translated it to speeding, right? You could drive fast on the road, 60, 65, 70 in a 45 mile per hour zone and not get caught for years. But then that one time you get caught, you're like, you jump the speed limit once again. So, you could see someone getting away for it a while, but when the time comes, right? So here we are. We're looking at a football spirit t-shirt, a phone case. Once again, this is like a Tennessee theme, so gotta stay away from that. But look at all these, like personalized, just a little pattern, right? With the initials right here. This one right here is just like with pictures. Pets has always been a hot seller. So we're gonna see what the real price of this is. And a shop like this probably producing themselves. So although that is one thing that I used to get in my way too. I used to think just because some shops are producing themselves means you can't do a print on demand, which is absolutely not true. You could still sell same products using print on demand and still be able to sell a product and be profitable and even sell it for a higher price, although a competitor is not. So $4 plus $15 cost of item would be around almost $16 here. So once again, I'm still using Everbee to calculate this. 1073 and 439. I'm sure this isn't really that profitable at all. Yeah, you're not making a profit, but that shouldn't stop you from continuing. And you know, that's what's kind of real about this video right now, is a lot of people think like you should just find that winner off the bat, which it typically does not happen like that. It can happen, but it's not always going to happen like that. What you could always do as well is just click on the product analytics page, and that just gives you a more clearer view of everything that's going on here. So here we have something that sells completely consistent right here. I don't know what it is. It's kind of hard for me to see right here. All right, so that's a different kind of phone case. But once again, if you're really dedicated and committed to really figuring this out and it's not a print on demand product, go find the product. You'll find it. Depending how hungry you are to change your circumstances and the situation that you're in and you want to change your income, you'll go find this phone case. It's not hard for you to copy this right here and paste it into Google and figure out how to either create this phone case or where to actually source it and have it created in a way where you're still, you know, creating some component of it so it still follows Etsy's guidelines. This one right here is doing an average of $5,000 per month, and according to the actual trends graph, is completely consistent, right? So here we have one where it's just a whole bunch of different designs, and this one can definitely be done with print on demand, right? So let's look at an actual price. We're looking at $30. That one's for the mag kind. I don't know if they have the mag ones. Let's see, supports wireless charging, not including MagSafe. So it doesn't include the MagSafe. I'm not necessarily sure what that means. Oh, it just says MagSafe and non-MagSafe. So I'm just gonna click on phone cases to see which other ones pop up. So here we have like tough magnetic cases right here. So they do have the mag cases on here. Multiple different prices. There's actually some that's even cheaper than the original one that we even looked at. So let's go ahead and see what a price like this would actually be. We'll look at the Pro Max right here, $28.49, and they're doing free shipping, so $28.49. So we'll be looking at the tough mag case for this one, and here we have $12.84 plus $4.39, and here you can actually see a net profit, $8.08. Crazy. That's a good margin. But one thing you do have to look out for whenever you're using Pinify is sometimes the prices are different depending on the type of phone or the actual case. So right here is where you'll click start designing, and you can actually upload your design right here. So you can click upload. We're not going to necessarily do a design for the sake of this video. They actually do have AI right here too. I wonder if we could just come up with the same pattern real quick here. So we're looking for a floral type pink and black design. I don't know. I've actually never used Printify's AI before, so we're gonna see how it comes out. But you can publish it right here. You can also click select variants right here. This is where you unlock all the other types of phone cases. Look, it has max 100 phone cases. I'm not a big fan of this AI design. This is where you can click on all the other designs available. You can also click on this drop down. They have glossy and matte. One thing I would like to say, when it comes to phone cases, being able to provide a lot of the different types is going to help. But when it comes to glossy and matte, if there's one too many options, you're going to confuse the customer. It's going to be too overwhelming. So don't necessarily overwhelm them way too much. I would just kind of stick to one and just kind of show it off in the rest of the images on your Etsy listing. You could do both, but it can be a little overwhelming for the customer, right? But anyways, one of the biggest things that you need to keep in mind is the fact that this is possible. You do have access to be able to do this right now. And now you might feel like there's lots of competitors in this space. Honestly, if it wasn't a competitive market, then, you know, there's gonna be less money in it. The fact that it's saturated means that there's whole lots of money to be made in this industry. You just have to be the person willing to go out there to figure it out, how to do it the right way so that you can continue to make this money. Why is it that there's someone else out there that's half as young as you and making twice the amount of money as you? Because they're more relentless. They didn't just get lucky. They sat there night after night figuring it out as much as possible, putting in as much time as they possibly could. And they didn't stop until they figured it out. There's going to be many times where you feel like you want to give up with this, but if you're truly committed and you believe in it, then it will come to you. As long as you're going in the right directions every single time and willing to get slapped in the face with the data of not getting sales. You have to look at the very tiniest bit of data every single time. You get a view, you're doing something right. You get 2 views, man, you're doing something even better. You finally get a conversion on 1 out of your 100 listings. What did you do right on that one listing? Something was different about it. Double down on what went right. Was it the research for that product? Was it the way the listing template looked? Was it the pricing? What was it? Don't be so afraid that your products aren't perfect, your listings aren't perfect, your designs aren't perfect. These are things that you practice. These are things that you get better at. And it only comes better with time. And if you don't have time, you probably have a little bit to invest. You can hire someone to do things. Like I said, you're hiring someone else to print the products for you. You don't have all the time in the world. So you can't keep wasting it doing the wrong things. Or you can't keep wasting it contemplating if you should build out this next listing, build out this next design. The fear of being perfect or the fear of having to launch a whole nother listing, launch a whole nother design is just always going to overcomplicate things. Don't overwhelm yourself to the point where you just want to give up. Make things in small digestible steps, right? 1 listing per day, highly achievable. And then you can move on to 2 listings, 3 listings, 4 listings and compound. Maybe you're not at the point where you can build out 1 whole listing per day. Start at 1 piece of research every single day. Find a winning product today. Find a winning product the next day. The next week, create the design for that product, so forth. We all have our own timeline, but you're the person who sets your own deadlines. You can't say, I'm going to give it to the end of this year to figure out how I'm going to launch this listing. You got to say, I'm going to launch this listing by this Wednesday, or I'm going to launch it by the end of tonight. In entrepreneurship, no one's going to be on you telling you when you need to do things. That's why a lot of people figure things out when their back's against the wall. And I want you to understand you don't have to wait until that point. At the end of the day, I'm not perfect. I started out with 0 sales as well. Started out with 0 reviews. We all started the same page. There's a time when I had 0 design skills. My speaking isn't perfect. I get made fun of every single day in the comments, although you probably don't see it. I see it every single day. Graduated high school with a 1.7 GPA. I'm not perfect. But you don't have to be perfect to make money. You don't have to be the smartest person in the world to make money. You just have to want it for a very good reason. Myself, I was a stay-at-home dad. My oldest son was diagnosed with autism, had a special needs child, and I wanted to do whatever I could do to provide for him and my family. So that's my reason. Whatever your reason is, hold on to it and go for it. If this video helped you out, let me know down below. I'll see you guys on the next one.